It started with a voice. A broken, static-filled voice that came over the radio late one night from somewhere deep in the desert. The words were barely audible, warped by interference, but they carried a weight that froze everyone in the command tent. "We're not alone out here. They're everywhere, watching us." And then, silence. The man speaking was Sergeant Daniel Cross. A career soldier, a husband, a father of 2 young kids who had kissed him goodbye at the airport just 3 weeks earlier. No one ever heard his voice again. And no one has ever been able to explain what happened to him, or the 4 other soldiers who vanished alongside him that night. This isn't the story of a battle lost in the chaos of war. There was no gunfire, no smoke, no bodies left behind. This was something else. Something stranger. Something that still leaves investigators, families, and conspiracy theorists arguing to this day. If chilling true stories of people who vanish without explanation grip you like they grip us, hit that subscribe button right now and turn on notifications. We bring you new mysteries every day. The soldier before the storm. To understand why this disappearance rattled so many people, you need to know who Daniel Cross was. He wasn't the type of soldier who made headlines. He wasn't a special forces operator, he wasn't decorated with medals. He was steady, dependable, the kind of man his commanders leaned on because they knew he wouldn't crack under pressure. Back home in Kansas, Daniel was a family man. His wife, Claire, used to joke that he was boring in the best way possible. He didn't drink much, he didn't chase thrills. His idea of a perfect Saturday was grilling in the backyard while his kids, Emily and Joshua, ran through sprinklers on the lawn. When he deployed, he always carried a folded piece of paper in his chest pocket, a crayon drawing from Emily, who was just 6. It showed him in uniform, standing next to her, with a son that took up half the page and the words "Daddy Hero" scribbled in shaky handwriting. His wife later admitted that when the army called to say he was missing, she didn't believe them at first. Daniel Cross wasn't the kind of man who went missing. If anything, he was the guy who made sure everyone else didn't. The mission that should have been routine. On March 17, 2003, Daniel and his unit were given what should have been one of the least remarkable assignments of the deployment. Secure and patrol a stretch of desert road used by convoys to transport supplies. It wasn't deep in hostile territory. It wasn't strategically important. It was, in military terms, a milk run. The patrol consisted of 5 men: Daniel, 2 younger privates fresh out of training, a seasoned sergeant named Blake, and their driver, Corporal Jimenez. Between them, they had decades of service, hundreds of miles patrolled. They rolled out at 1800 hours in 2 Humvees, each equipped with radios, mounted weapons, and night vision gear. Standard procedure. The sun dipped below the horizon as they left base, and the desert quickly shifted into its eerie nighttime silence. No wind, no distant sounds of animals, just the hum of the engines and the occasional burst of static over the radio. Command logged their departure. Everything appeared normal. No one realized they had just seen the patrol alive for the last time. The transmission. At 21:43 hours, the routine broke. The command center picked up Cross's voice over the radio. The first words were faint, chopped by static. At first, the operator thought it was just interference, the kind that often plagued long-range comms in the desert. But then the message sharpened. Cross was breathing heavily. His voice was tight, urgent. "We're not alone out here, they're everywhere, watching us." And then, nothing. The line went dead. Command immediately tried to re-establish contact. They sent call after call. No reply. Other patrols in the area were contacted. None of them reported seeing or hearing anything unusual. The coordinates showed Cross's patrol in a completely flat stretch of desert, miles from the nearest village or known insurgent activity. Within minutes, a quick reaction force was mobilized and dispatched to their location. What they found made no sense. The empty desert. When reinforcements arrived, the desert was silent. The Humvees were gone. The 5 soldiers were gone. There were no signs of an ambush. No burn marks. No shell casings. No boot prints leading away into the dunes. The sand was undisturbed, smooth, as though no vehicles had passed that way at all. The only clue was a single, half-buried headset, later confirmed to belong to Sergeant Cross. It was found about 50 yards from where their GPS tracker had last pinged. But the strangest part? When they pulled the radio logs from that night, Cross's final message wasn't the only thing recorded. The transmission ended with something faint. Background noise, too distorted to make out clearly. Some swore it sounded like voices. Others thought it was laughter. A few even said it didn't sound human at all. The Army classified the audio, but not before rumors spread like wildfire. The family's first phone call. At 6 a.m. the next morning, Claire Cross was woken by the sound of her phone ringing. She expected Daniel's voice. He usually called whenever he got the chance, even if it was just a few rushed seconds to say goodnight to the kids. Instead, it was an officer from the base. "Mrs. Cross, I regret to inform you that your husband is currently listed as missing in action." She told them they had to be mistaken. Daniel was too careful. He was the one who always came home. But as the days stretched into weeks, that hope began to unravel. Emily asked why Daddy hadn't called. Claire told her he was busy helping people overseas. Joshua, too young to understand, kept asking if Daddy would be home in time for his birthday. Claire later described those days as living in two worlds. On one hand, the Army was giving her updates, patrols were searching, intelligence was being gathered. On the other, there was an empty chair at the dinner table, a pair of little boots by the door waiting for footsteps that would never return. The investigation begins. Behind the scenes, military investigators were scrambling. Soldiers didn't just vanish. Not like this. They swept the desert with helicopters, drones, ground teams. They checked satellite footage from the hours surrounding the disappearance. Nothing. The Humvees left base at 1800 hours. They should have been visible on thermal imaging, kicking up heat and dust. But at 21:44, the moment after Cross's final transmission, they simply weren't there. The vehicles, the men, the equipment, all gone. Even more disturbing, insurgent groups in the area denied involvement. Normally, if a patrol went missing, propaganda videos or ransom demands followed. This time, silence. It was as though the desert had erased them. Families back home begged for answers. Investigators worked around the clock. But every lead ended the same way, nowhere. And yet, Cross's final words lingered, echoing through every report, every classified meeting, every sleepless night his wife spent waiting by the phone. "We're not alone out here. They're everywhere, watching us." What, or who, was he talking about? And how could an entire patrol, armed and experienced, vanish without a trace under the eyes of the US military? That question would haunt everyone who touched this case, and it would only get darker as the theories began to surface. And if you believe stories like this deserve to be told, not forgotten, give this video a like. It tells us you want more of these daily mysteries uncovered. The search and the silence. The desert does not give back its secrets easily. In the hours after Sergeant Daniel Cross's final, chilling transmission, the military threw everything they had into finding him and his four-man patrol. Helicopters swept across the night sky, their spotlights carving through the dunes. Armored convoys combed the roads. Drones scanned for heat signatures. And yet, nothing. No burned-out vehicles. No shell casings. No evidence of a firefight. Not even tracks in the sand. It was as if the desert had reached up and swallowed them whole. The official search. Command widened the grid. They ran sweeps up to 50 miles from the patrol's last known coordinates. Every inch of desert was scoured. Still nothing. Then came the intelligence reports. At first, investigators suspected an ambush. But insurgent groups in the area denied involvement. Normally, if Americans disappeared, propaganda videos would surface almost immediately. Ransom messages. Demands. Proof of life. This time, there was silence. Too much silence. When analysts reviewed satellite images of the area, they were baffled. At 21:30 hours, just minutes before the chilling transmission, the patrol's Humvees were visible on the road. But by 21:45, they were gone. Not destroyed. Not burning. Just gone. The desert lay untouched. The audio that haunted them. Back at the command tent, the original radio log was studied frame by frame. Cross's final words were terrifying enough: "We're not alone out here. They're everywhere, watching us." But investigators noticed something else. Faintly, beneath the static, there was another sound. Some thought it was laughter. Others swore it was whispering, like several voices speaking at once. A few claimed it didn't sound human at all. The Army quickly classified the recording, labeling it unreliable due to interference. But by then, rumors had already spread among soldiers on base. One said, it sounded like they were surrounded, but by what? I don't even want to think about it. Another flat out refused to go near that stretch of desert again. If you're hooked right now, and you want more stories like this that leave you unsettled long after they end, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. We bring you chilling mysteries every single day. The family left behind. Back home, Claire Cross received updates from the Army almost daily at first. Each time, she braced herself for answers. Each time, the answers never came. Her daughter Emily drew another picture. This time, she showed her father standing in the desert, surrounded by stars, with the words, "Come home, Daddy." Claire taped it to the refrigerator. But the longer the search went on, the more hollow the reassurances became. "We're doing everything we can. We're following every lead. We haven't given up." Yet the truth was clear: the desert had given them nothing back. Claire began keeping a journal. She wrote letters to Daniel as if he would one day read them. In one entry, she wrote, "I keep waiting for the phone to ring, to hear your voice saying it was all a mistake. But every day, the silence grows louder. Theories take shape." Inside the military, frustration turned to speculation. Some believed the patrol had been taken underground. That somewhere beneath the dunes, hidden tunnels or bunkers had swallowed the vehicles whole. Others whispered about betrayal, that maybe someone in the unit had led them into a trap. And then there were the stranger theories. Soldiers on base told stories about ghost lights seen in the desert, about entire convoys that reported being followed by shadows they couldn't explain. None of it was official. But all of it added fuel to the fire. Weeks passed. Then months. The official report remained the same, missing in action. But behind the scenes, whispers grew louder. The desert doesn't just erase 5 men and 2 Humvees without leaving a trace. And yet, it had. Still, one detail lingered, the one thing investigators could never shake, no matter how many reports they wrote, no matter how many classified files they stamped closed. Cross's final words. "We're not alone out here. They're everywhere, watching us." Who, or what, was he talking about? And why did the desert stay so silent? The theories and haunting leads. The deeper investigators dug, the stranger the case became. Weeks turned into months, months into years, and Sergeant Daniel Cross's disappearance remained one of the most baffling mysteries in military history. The desert had swallowed him, his 4-man patrol, and their Humvees, leaving nothing behind, except for his final chilling transmission. "We're not alone out here. They're everywhere, watching us." Those words became the heartbeat of every theory, each one darker than the last. Theory 1, a military betrayal. Some believed the patrol had been led into a trap by someone they trusted. A rogue informant, or even a soldier within their own unit, who wanted to eliminate them quietly. The patrol had been stationed along a supply route, one that was strategically valuable. Could someone have used that to orchestrate a disappearance that left no trace? Investigators cross-checked personnel schedules, interrogated colleagues, and ran polygraphs. Yet nothing concrete emerged. Every lead hit a dead end. Still, the idea lingered. What if the men had been silenced for something they were never supposed to know? Theory 2, Black Ops gone wrong. Others pointed to covert operations. Rumors surfaced that Cross's patrol had stumbled upon something classified, a secret base, illegal activity, or high-level intelligence that wasn't meant to be found. Those who floated this theory claimed the men were extracted forcibly, erased from the area, with no explanation. Military intelligence refused to comment. The files remained classified. But whispers of black operations, disappearances that were never reported, and silenced witnesses became part of the story. It was plausible and terrifying. Theory 3, Paranormal possibilities. Then there were the more unsettling theories, the ones investigators couldn't explain scientifically. Soldiers on nearby patrols reported strange lights in the desert, glowing orbs that appeared and vanished in seconds. Some swore they saw silhouettes moving in perfect synchronization, as if something was mimicking human behavior. Even the radio operators reported hearing fragments of voices in the static long after the transmission ended, whispers that didn't belong to any human. And while official reports dismissed them as optical illusions or auditory interference, the soldiers who experienced them knew what they had seen. Could the patrol have wandered into something beyond human understanding? Something that observed them, but never left a trace? Theory 4, a crime of opportunity. Then there was the simplest explanation: the desert was full of dangers, both human and environmental. A rogue faction could have ambushed the patrol. Smugglers, militants, mercenaries. They had the knowledge, the skill, and the perfect location to stage a vanishing. This theory fit with Cross's final words: "They're everywhere, watching us." Perhaps the men noticed something, or someone, moving in the shadows, and were eliminated before they could radio for help. It was simple, realistic, and terrifyingly plausible, yet still offered no evidence. The haunting lead. Months into the investigation, a local Bedouin shepherd came forward with a strange story. He claimed to have seen 5 men walking in a desert valley late one night. They weren't moving toward their vehicle or base, they seemed detached, almost trance-like, guided by some unseen force. When he tried to approach, they vanished. Not into sand dunes. Not behind rocks. Just vanished. The shepherd swore it wasn't a hallucination. "I have never seen anything like it in my life," he told investigators. It was impossible. No one could confirm the story. No one could trace the valley he described. And yet, the tale circulated quietly, fueling the legend of the patrol that disappeared without a trace. Theories collide. By the end of the first year, investigators were trapped between realities. A potential military betrayal. A covert operation gone wrong. A crime of opportunity by unknown assailants. Unexplainable, possibly paranormal phenomena in the desert. All were possible. None were proven. The mystery of Sergeant Cross and his patrol became a blend of fear, speculation, and heartbreak, a puzzle with pieces that didn't fit together, no matter how hard anyone tried. And just when the case seemed as closed as it could get, there was one final, chilling detail investigators couldn't ignore. The desert was never completely silent. Even years later, patrols reported faint radio interference in that area. Strange shadows seen on the horizon. And occasionally, whispers that sounded eerily like someone calling for help. No one knew if it was Sergeant Cross, or his men, or something else entirely. And in the quiet, empty desert, the question still lingers. What really happened to them out there? The aftermath and haunting silence. Years passed. The desert stretched on, indifferent to the lives it had claimed. Patrols came and went. Satellites scanned the dunes. Intelligence reports piled up in dusty filing cabinets. And yet, Sergeant Daniel Cross and his 4-man patrol remained, gone. Back home, the Cross family's life had been forever altered. The family left behind. Claire Cross could barely function. Every morning, she would walk past Daniel's empty chair at the dining table and force herself to smile for the children. But at night, the silence of the house swallowed her. Emily, now older, still drew pictures of her father. Sometimes, she would tape them to the fridge. Other times, she would leave them in her desk drawers, whispering to herself that Daddy would see them someday. Joshua, her little brother, had stopped asking for his father. He had learned the cruel lesson that some people never come back, even when you want them to. Claire wrote letters to Daniel for years, placing them in envelopes, never mailing them. "I hope you're safe. I hope you know we're still here. We haven't stopped looking." Those letters were her only connection to a man who had vanished from the world, leaving a gaping hole in their lives. The investigation never ends. The military continued to investigate, though official reports eventually classified the case as unresolved, no further leads. Yet behind closed doors, analysts kept looking. Satellite imagery was revisited, witness accounts re-interviewed, even audio specialists reviewed the static-filled transmission from that night. Some believed they had overlooked something, a misinterpreted coordinate, a faint signal in the desert, a clue buried in the background noise of Cross's final words. But every potential lead fizzled. The desert had erased the men completely, leaving investigators only with whispers, speculation, and frustration. The haunting mystery. Even now, decades later, the desert carries a strange reputation among soldiers and travelers. Patrols report unexplained interference on radios. Hikers passing through remote areas sometimes swear they see fleeting shadows moving with impossible speed. A few claim they hear whispers that echo like voices carried on the wind. Some chalk it up to imagination. Others swear it's the last trace of the men who disappeared, Sergeant Cross and his patrol, calling from somewhere unreachable. The story of their vanishing lives on, haunting anyone who dares to think too closely about it. The final emotional toll. The Cross family never fully recovered. The loss of Daniel and the patrol was not just about a missing husband or father, it was about the emptiness left behind, a future rewritten by absence. Birthdays passed with empty chairs. Holidays were muted. Every sound in the house reminded them of what was missing. Every new deployment or mission brought back memories of that night. Claire admitted in a rare interview years later. "It's like waiting for someone who can never return. Every day, you hope for the impossible. Every day, the desert laughs at you, and you learn to live with nothing but questions." The final unresolved question. And so, the mystery remains. Was it betrayal? A covert operation gone wrong? A crime of opportunity? Or something beyond comprehension? No one knows. The only thing certain is the last transmission. We're not alone out here. They're everywhere, watching us. Those words echo in memory, in classified files, and in the hearts of the family who never stopped waiting. The desert keeps its secrets. The soldiers never returned. And the question that haunts everyone remains. What really happened to Sergeant Daniel Cross and his patrol, in the middle of nowhere? Remember to subscribe to this channel, like and share.